Buffalo, we need to talk about the moment DJ Moore truly became one of us. Forget the trade announcement back in March. Forget the highlight reels of his best catches in a Panthers or Bears uniform. The real welcome to Buffalo moment happened at, of all places, a Wegmans. And if you know anything about this city, you already know that's exactly how it's supposed to go down. Just days before training camp officially opens, DJ Moore sat down for a conversation that gave fans their clearest look yet at who this guy actually is. Not just as Josh Allen's newest offensive weapon, but as a father, a teammate, and a man who is already fully aware that once you land in Buffalo, this fan base does not let you leave quietly. And judging by everything Moore said, he's not just okay with that. He's leaning all the way into it. Let's rewind for a second and set the stage, because the context here matters. Moore didn't arrive in Buffalo as some unproven rookie hoping to make a roster. He came in as a genuine difference maker, a wide receiver with more than 8,000 career receiving yards and over 500 rushing yards across 8 NFL seasons. A player who has proven durable enough to suit up for all 17 games in 5 straight seasons. This is a proven commodity, acquired specifically to solve one of the most glaring issues that has plagued this Bills offense since Stephon Diggs walked out the door. Buffalo has not had a receiver crack 1,000 yards in 2 full seasons, and after watching Josh Allen carry an offense on his back through uneven receiver play, General Manager Brandon Beane went out and made a move that instantly upgraded the room. But here's the twist that makes this signing so much more interesting than your average trade for a talented wideout. DJ Moore isn't walking into a brand new system with a coach he's never met. He's walking right back into the arms of Joe Brady, the very same offensive mind who got some of the best football of Moore's career out of him years ago in Carolina. Back in 2020 and 2021, when Brady was calling plays for the Panthers, Moore put together back-to-back seasons of more than 1,100 receiving yards, racking up a combined 8 touchdowns across those 2 years. That connection never actually died. It just went dormant for a few seasons while both men built their careers in different places, Brady working his way up the coaching ranks and eventually landing the head coaching job in Buffalo, and Moore bouncing from Carolina to Chicago, where he had his moments but never quite recaptured that same rhythm. So when Moore talks about this reunion, and when he says everything about the transition has been smooth, that's not just polite media talk. That's a guy who genuinely knows the system, knows the coach, and knows exactly what it looks like when this partnership is clicking on all cylinders. In his own words, Brady's offense has gotten a little more advanced since those Carolina days, which honestly should have Bills fans buzzing. If Moore was putting up huge numbers under an earlier, simpler version of this scheme, what does it look like now with a more experienced play caller and a genuine former MVP at quarterback? And that brings us to the connection that might be the most fascinating subplot of this entire offseason. DJ Moore and Josh Allen actually go back further than most fans realize. Long before either of them wore the same uniform, they crossed paths at the NFL Rookie Premiere, sitting side by side for hours signing autographs together back when they were both just entering the league. According to Moore, the two of them talked about how cool it would be to eventually play together on the same team one day. Fast forward all these years later, and that offhand conversation between two rookies has actually come true. There is something almost poetic about that. Two guys who bonded over shared nerves and shared excitement as rookies are now the centerpiece of an offense with real championship expectations attached to it. Now let's talk about how Moore has been received since setting foot in Western New York, because this part of the conversation says just as much about Buffalo as it does about him. Moore described his experience with the fan base as fun, full of back-and-forth conversations with different fans, people genuinely curious about who he is, not just as a player, but as a person off the field. And he made an interesting observation that longtime Bills fans will absolutely recognize. In Buffalo, you get adopted whether you like it or not. People aren't going to call you by your last name and keep their distance. They're going to know your first name. They're going to walk up and talk to you like you've been part of the family for years, even if you just got here. That kind of instant personal connection between players and fans isn't something you find in every NFL city, and Moore seems to already understand that Buffalo operates differently. This isn't a market where players can slip in and out of anonymity. This is a place where the fan base wants a relationship, and based on everything Moore has said so far, he's more than willing to give them one. Part of that willingness clearly comes from the fact that Moore brings his family into almost everything he does publicly. He's already made appearances with his wife and 3 kids in tow, 6-year-old Ariel, 3-year-old Bubba, and his youngest, whose given name is actually Oliver but goes by a nickname that Moore himself laughed about during the interview, joking that his youngest son now thinks he's the DJ of the family. It's a sweet detail buried in an otherwise business-focused conversation, but it says a lot about the kind of household Moore is building in his new city. His wife, by his own account, does a great job keeping the kids engaged with fans, and the family clearly has a good time out in public together, which only adds to that sense of Moore settling in as more than just a rental player passing through. Let's shift gears to the merchandise angle, because this is where the story gets a little unexpectedly fun. Moore's own t-shirt line has landed on shelves at Wegmans locations, including an exclusive design created specifically for this partnership. Moore explained that the retro throwback look was the first concept that came to mind once the opportunity came together, and he credits an artist connected to a clothing brand for bringing that vision to life. There's even a fun, almost accidental story behind how the whole Wegmans partnership got rolling in the first place. Moore's own barber was wearing one of his shirts, and it caught the attention of someone connected to the grocery chain, which ended up snowballing into shelf space for his merchandise inside actual Wegmans stores. If that doesn't sum up how business gets done in Buffalo, nothing does. Somehow, someway, it always seems to trace back to a barbershop conversation, beyond the family moments and the merchandise deal. There's a more serious storyline developing here too, and it has to do with leadership. The Bills have built a reputation around wanting veteran voices in every position room, guys who can set the tone without needing to be the loudest person in the building. And even though Moore is the new addition to this receiver room, multiple teammates have already pointed to him as exactly that kind of presence. Moore himself described his style as leading by example rather than being some rah-rah, constantly vocal type of leader. He was pretty blunt about it too, saying that talk doesn't mean much if you're not backing it up with your actions on the field every single day. That's the kind of quietly confident approach that tends to earn respect quickly in an NFL locker room, especially one that already has established leaders in place. Interestingly, Moore mentioned that some of his new teammates have described his presence as having a different kind of aura, though he laughed off exactly what that means. Whatever it is, it clearly resonated during OTAs, where Moore said everything went smoothly as he worked to get back on the same page with Brady's system and mesh with a completely new group of teammates. So what does all of this actually mean heading into the 2026 season? It means the Bills didn't just add a talented body to the receiver room. They added a proven veteran who already has chemistry with the head coach, a personal history with the franchise quarterback that dates back to their rookie year, and a personality that fans in Buffalo are clearly embracing without hesitation. Every piece of this puzzle, the coaching connection, the quarterback relationship, and the fan reception, points toward a partnership that has a real chance to click quickly rather than needing an extended adjustment period. Of course, none of this guarantees results on the field. Training camp battles, chemistry building, and the grind of an NFL season will ultimately determine how this all plays out. But when you stack up everything Moore said in this conversation, the comfort level with the offense, the trust in his new coach, the connection with his quarterback, and the genuine embrace from this fan base, it paints a picture of a player who is not just adjusting to a new city. He's already made himself at home in it. And really, that Wegmans appearance says it all. A veteran wide receiver, fresh off a trade, casually strolling through a grocery store, signing merchandise, taking photos with fans, marveling at the fact that this particular Wegmans has an upstairs market cafe like he's never seen anything like it before. That's not the image of someone treating Buffalo like a temporary stop. That's the image of someone who has already been fully, completely adopted by this city, exactly the way Moore himself described it. As training camp opens and the pads finally come on, all eyes will be on how quickly this reunion between Moore, Brady, and Allen translates into real production on Sundays. But based on everything said in this conversation, the foundation is already there. The comfort is already there. The connection is already there. Now it's just about putting it all together on the field. So here's where we land on the DJ Moore era in Buffalo. This is a receiver who understands exactly what city he just walked into, exactly what coach he's working with, and exactly what quarterback is about to make his job a whole lot easier. If the early signs from this offseason are any indication, Bills fans should be very, very excited about what this offense looks like once the season actually kicks off. That's the story for today. If you enjoyed this breakdown of DJ Moore's first few weeks in Buffalo, do us a favor, smash that like button. Drop a comment telling us what kind of numbers you expect from Moore this season, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. We're working hard to grow this channel, and every subscriber helps us keep bringing you conversations like this one. Hit subscribe, ring that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, go Bills.